So this is a really great question. Before you even try to answer this question, I need to say that I can only speak from my own perspective. I can't give any objective best way to make let someone know you want to speak or the correct perspective. So in this guy's comment, he also asked what would be a way to indicate that you also want to speak to people who are fine taking up a lot of space in conversation and speaking over people. And that's a tough question to answer, right? Because we have different conversational styles. Me, for example, I like one where I can hold this the talking stick until someone else wants to grab it, and then they'll just take it out of my hands, and then they start talking, and then I'll listen. I'll think of something, then I'll take it from them. But other people see it more as like a tennis match where you shoot the ball back and forth. You go "Oh, how was your day? Oh, good. How about you?" You shoot it back and forth, back and forth. But I find that very uncomfortable. So me knowing that I have that kind of conversational style that not everyone else is used to having, I do try to be more attentive to see if people have this kind of look in their eye or if they're going, trying to say something, and then when I notice that and I feel like I'm done with my point, I feel like my perspective has been validated, I'll be like, yeah, go on, take the floor. I can see you have something to say, and then I see they're wanting to take the ball instead of just taking it out of my hand, and so I give it to them. You know, so that begs the question: is does everyone that seems to be taking up so much space in conversations have that experience that I shared in the previous video, where it's not necessarily because I think I am entitled to taking attention and space from other people, rather I'm focused on one thing so much that I don't necessarily realize, right? It's the monotropism thing. And that can be expressed as me speaking too loudly or speaking over people or being inattentive to when other people also are signaling these nonverbal cues. And the answer is I don't know. I don't think everyone has that same experience. I definitely think there are some people that are just attention seekers and are okay with just taking up a bunch of space without considering other people. But I think we do generally need to look at ourselves when we observe someone that we think might be attention seeking or taking up a lot of space and being why do I perceive them in this light, and are there other possibilities to why they're acting the way that they do, and how can I be empathetic without being a people pleaser or letting them steamroll me, you know? And in that respect, I can speak to my own experience in that just verbal, direct communication is what works best for me. If I'm speaking too loud, someone just going "Hey, you're speaking a bit too loud. You're filling up the classroom," and I'll just and if they say it in an empathetic and kind way, with saying it in a way where they're assuming I have the best intentions, then I'm more than willing to just be "Oh shit, sorry, I didn't realize. Thank you for telling me." My classmate did that just recently, and that's a rare sight to see that some people they're learning how to do that, especially in communication with me, as I'm also trying to be open about how my brain works. And so it's great to see. So I thanked her. I was "Thank you for doing it in that way." Contrast that with then some of my teachers who legit just think it's an entitlement problem. I had one of my teachers just out of the blue say do you something along the lines of do you know how much space you fill when you think you're entitled to be speaking as loudly as you do? Unprovoked. This wasn't even while I was talking loudly, but that's a different subject. Or if I'm being inattentive, right, and I'm just speaking out from the hip and I'm not really looking at people, something that would be nice is just someone interrupting me. It's going "Oh, I have something to say related to that. Can I come in?" I was and I would usually just be "Yeah, go on, But it's very variable person to person, with conversational styles, with temperament, with all of that. So I get that it's fucking hard, but that's also why I like making videos like this, where I feel like me expressing how my brain works and how I'm trying to cooperate with people and conversational styles and stuff like that adds to just a general understanding, and then we can manage miscommunications and stuff like that better, just like a general population of people. And so I guess to summarize, when it comes to people who monopolize conversations, I think a I think when speaking to them, just start by assuming they have good intentions. Because when you go into a conversation assuming you know what they think, that's probably going to go bad. And then second of all, like if they can't be interrupted at all, I'm honestly not sure what you can do. You might have to be just super direct and be like, "Yo, you're kind of talking the whole thing. I kind of also want to say something. Can we have a conversation instead of you just talking?" Like that might be an option. And then see how they take that form of like direct communication. Some people don't like it. They think it's too direct. But it's just so variable, right? I tried I've taken almost 6 minutes now to try and explain as best I could the perspective I have of this. So I hope it helps at least in some respect.